In Jerusalem, the Dome of the Rock, standing tall on the revered Temple Mount, witnessed a terrifying event, stirring a global crisis. This holy site, significant to Jews and Christians, now holds unforeseen implications for Israel's future and biblical prophecies. These recent events at the Dome of the Rock demand our attention as we aim to uncover the far-reaching consequences that could shape the course of history. So join us in this video as we delve into the details of this shocking incident and explore its potential impact on the region's peace and stability. Let's start with the significance of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is special to Jews, Muslims, and Christians, mainly because of the Temple Mount, a sacred hill for all three religions. However, this holy site is also a source of conflict, with both Palestinians and Israelis claiming it as their own. The tension has been growing for years, and it reached a critical point in 2022 when a series of attacks resulted in the death of 17 innocent Israelis, marking the worst bloodshed since 2006. Recently, a deeply disturbing event unfolded at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, part of the Dome of the Rock, during the holy month of Ramadan for Muslims. Some Palestinians, wearing masks and having stayed overnight in the compound, initiated a confrontation by throwing stones, firecrackers, and other objects at Israeli police officers. The Israeli police responded with tear gas, stun grenades, and batons, resulting in a fierce clash. Meanwhile, in the chaos, masked Palestinians retreated to a mosque within the compound, locking themselves in while persistently hurling stones. This incident added a layer of intensity to the ongoing struggle for control over this sacred site. Chaos at the mosque. After the confrontation began, the Israeli police didn't step back. They rushed into the mosque compound and arrested the people who had barricaded themselves inside. But it wasn't smooth. About 160 Palestinians got hurt. Among them was a guard who got shot in the eye with a rubber bullet. Shockingly, 4 women, 27 children, and even a journalist were hurt. Some police officers got injured too, one of them seriously. This chaos erupted even though there was an agreement before. The police and the Al-Aqsa compound authorities had agreed that nobody would stay overnight during Ramadan. So why did the Palestinians break this agreement? Why did they take such risks with their lives and others? The answer lies in their fear. Palestinians fear that if the Israelis take control of the site, they might get kicked out from a place they believe is holy. But is this fear reasonable? Is all this violence really necessary? Can this conflict be solved peacefully? To get answers, let's understand why this place matters so much to both groups, the Jews and the Muslims. The Temple Mount is super important to both religions. It's not recent. It goes way back to around 1000 BC when King David, the king of Israel, took over Jerusalem and made it his capital. He wanted to build a temple there to keep the Ark of the Covenant safe. The Ark was a sacred chest holding the 10 Commandments. So, let's talk about the historical significance of the temple. Long ago, King David wanted to make a special place for worship. He chose Mount Moriah, now known as the Temple Mount, where the temple was supposed to be built. You can find this story in a book called 1 Kings. His son, Solomon, took over and built the temple. It was incredible, took 7 years to finish, and became a central place for worship and sacrifice. But after Solomon died, things changed. The kingdom split, and later on, the Babylonians attacked, destroyed the temple, and forced the Jews to leave their home. It was a really sad time for them. The Jews didn't lose hope. They went back and rebuilt the temple, but sadly it was destroyed again, this time by the Romans in a big war in 70 CE. Since then, the temple hasn't been rebuilt. But there's a part left, the Western Wall, also known as the Wailing Wall. It's super important for Jews. They go there to pray and feel close to their faith. For Muslims, this place is called Haram al-Sharif, which means noble sanctuary. It's the third holiest site in Islam after Mecca and Medina. They believe it's where the Prophet Muhammad went to heaven during an event called Isra and Miraj. It's a really big deal for Muslims because it shows how close the Prophet was to God. To remember this, they built the Dome of the Rock. Now here's the problem. Both Jews and Muslims care about this place. Both groups have a strong connection to it and want a say in what happens next. For Jews, this is where they hope to build the third temple. They think it's a crucial step for the Messiah to come. The centuries-old tension. Now, we've got a big question on our hands. Who rightfully owns this site, the Muslims or the Jews? It's a tricky question without a simple answer. But to understand it, we need to take a journey back in time, digging into history and peeling back the layers of this ongoing conflict. This tension didn't just pop up overnight. It has deep roots, going back centuries. Let's rewind to the year 614 CE, when the Sasanian Empire invaded and took control of Jerusalem. This invasion shook things up big time. It changed how the city was ruled and messed with its religious and cultural scene. Jerusalem was not the same anymore, but the story didn't end there. The Byzantine Empire wasn't cool with how things had changed. In 629 CE, they fought back and reclaimed Jerusalem from the Sasanians. With the Byzantine rule, Christian authority was back in the picture. The religious scene in Jerusalem shifted again, and you can imagine tensions were running high. Now fast forward to 638 CE.